Hello everyone, in this video I am going to show you how to create these realistic watercolor flowers in the app Hipaint. I will be giving step-by-step instruction, techniques I used to create this and also the brush details. So don't skip the video anywhere. Let's get started. So click on this plus and you will get option to create a new canvas. Click on that and here I'm going to create the 3:4 ratio canvas. And here first, before everything, I'm going to import the image that I have already drawn, so I can use that as a reference. So to Hipaint, here is the artwork that I made and I added it as a reference. Now you can adjust the panel like this by dragging and also zooming out. Now let's draw in the canvas. So here I'm going to draw this. For drawing, I'm going to use the first layer and I'm going to rename this as sketch. So as always, this is only for our reference purpose. This will not visible in the outcome. So you can make any corrections, redraw, overwrite all those things here in this layer, and this is only for our reference purpose. So here I'm going to use the bleed brush for drawing the sketch. So totally I'll be just using only two brush in this artwork. One is the watercolor brush and another one is the bleed brush. So using the bleed brush I'm going to draw the basic sketch. So you can make this stem not low, you can make it irregular, little bit of dissimilarities, everything is okay because the real stem will not have this symmetric shape or it will not be perfect. So in that case you can create on your own wish, like making it irregular little bit, making it realistic. And here I'm going to add the leaves here and there. So totally I'm going to add 4 leaves. I'm adding a lot of small branch for that, and here as well. So before drawing the flower, I'm going to draw the leaves because leaf is very easy to draw. So I'm finishing off first. So don't go too fast while making the sketch, because if you are drawing a perfect straight line, perfect curvy line, it will not look realistic. So keep it realistic, just make a small moves, like make a small strokes instead of going a big single stroke. So that works better. Also here I'm going to add one more leaf. Okay, now here I'm going to draw the flower. For drawing the flower, I'm going to make another small like a mapping. So I'm going to draw a vowel in a separate layer. So I'm going to use that as a reference to make the shape properly for the flower. So just one single oval, and I'm going to draw the flow of the petals and making sure it looks perfect angle. So if you don't feel it's perfect, just use the transform tool to rotate a little bit and adjust the angle. Now I'll be having petals which is going to move downward as well. So few petals at the downward direction and all other are the upward direction. Also on this side we're going to have the petals visible. Okay, this is the flow of the petals. Now go back to your sketch layer and continue drawing the flowers. I'm keeping the opacity of this mapping less so that I can draw better in the sketch layer. Also, for the reference, you can use any other flower or realistic flower images that you may get in internet, or you can also try replicating others watercolor flowers. So for the petals, it's not going to be a perfect one. It's not going to have the perfect curves. So make it a little bit irregular, ups and downs, small curves. Everything works for the realistic watercolor one, because perfect shape never exists for the nature. So it will be more of irregularities and bring a beautiful, unique structure shapes. So here I'm drawing the first petal, and I'm making more bends at the top of the petal. Then the second petal, it's not good that much, so it's actually looking like a bowl, so I'm going to redraw that petal again. So for this petal, it's going to show the inside a little bit, also the outside. So I'm going to draw the inner part now. This is the inner part that is visible, and next comes the another petal. Okay, almost we're gonna finish drawing the petals at the top for direction, and we'll be adding few more which is moving downward. Almost done. So you can see how easily we able to draw while we mapping the flow, also the using the basic shapes. Like you can try like square, circle, rectangle, triangle, all these basic shapes which help us to create the other shapes very easily. So you just have to keep on practicing how to bring that shapes from the basic 3 to 4 shapes. And the flower looks a little bit tall, so I'm going to reduce the height. So using the lasso tool, just select this flower alone, and using the transform tool, click on this perspective transform, and you can adjust a little bit, make it a little bit shorter and broader. Also you can try adjusting the side anchor points. And again I'm going to select this flower and I'm going to duplicate. Here you can find the option to duplicate, and when you click on the duplicate, it will be duplicated separately in a new layer, which you can adjust, flip horizontally or use as it is. And here I'm going to just flip it horizontally and place it here. Now it looks good. And now we're going to draw the actual watercolor flower. So I just merged these two flower layers into a single layer, and while merging these two layers, the name of the layer is changed. So again, I'm going to rename this as sketch. Okay, now we don't need this mapping layer anymore, so I deleted that and created a new layer below this. So we're going to keep this sketch layer at the top of all the layers so that it's visible to draw. So now the actual process is just using the lasso tool, select any one petal or two petals at a time like this. Make sure you add that little curves and irregular shapes while selecting this using the lasso tool, because this selection plays a major role in this watercolor technique. This is especially my technique. I always use this technique. You can see all of my watercolor tutorials. You can find this way I create watercolor illustrations. So here just make shapes if using the remove option in the lasso, and then go to the watercolor brush. Just keep it to the maximum size and full opacity. I'm using something like pink color. You can try different colors. Just tap instead of just dragging. Tapping works better. Tapping gives some texture. You can try dragging it and tapping it. Tapping it gives a little more texture at the corners compared to the dragging, so use tapping. Here you can see dragging how it looks, and tapping you can find a little bit of texture at the corners. So first just drag a little bit and create a base color, and then tap like this at the bottom. So we're going to have dark shades at the bottom and lighter shade at the top. Now you can adjust the shape and the color and size of the brush. Now going for a little bit darker shade. Make it bigger and tap again. Okay, now go back to the bleed brush and add a little bit of small lines here and there in the way of the petal motion. So we have already showed I have already showed the petal movement, like flow using the arrow marks while we making the mapping process. So we know how exactly the flow of the petal looks. So here it's going to move top to the towards the top. So I'm just moving from the bottom to the top, and this gives a good texture to our petals and it makes it a little bit realistic. So if the color is not so perfect, we can adjust using the hue saturation tool that we have in the Hipaint. So don't worry too much about that. Okay, a little bit of touch up here and there. It's not always a dark color. You can even try adding lines using the light color and check how it looks, how it works. So yeah, almost done with one petal. Now I'm going to remove the selection using the clear option in the lasso. So click on the clear and it will clear the selection. Now you can see how it looks without the sketch. Again I'm going to select another petal, same process again and again. So now I'm going to select multiple petals at a time, so because it's not going to disturb one another. So choose in that way. Don't choose neighboring petals, because while we adding shades at the corner, little bit darker shades at the corner, it's going to definitely affect the next petal and both going to look like a single petal. To avoid that, don't use or select the neighboring petals. Instead, go for alternative petals like 1 3, so some gap between these two. In that manner you have to select. And again, if you want to add a little more small curves, then click on the remove option next to the add, and this will remove the areas that we have selected. So, and once you're done, click on the add option again, because when you are choosing multiple areas at a time using the lasso and you didn't select the add option in that, then it will only select one area at a time. So please switch on the add option above the lasso tool. So same process again. Okay, now add a little bit of lines here and there. Don't press the stylus too much, because adding too much pressure to it make these strokes bigger. So keep your touch the stylus very light. Don't give pressure too much, so that you can have the strokes very thin and mild, because the pressure actually affects the way of the stroke looks. Okay, that's good. Now again, same process again. So I'm making the process a little bit fast now, because it's same process again and again, and I'm not going to talk because nothing to explain. I already explained the technique, so it's easy to follow. Just follow along with me by watching this. Okay, almost done. Clear the selection using the lasso tool, and we are in the last petal. Now you can see once you finished, you may find small gaps left out between the petals that we just left accidentally while selecting one petal from the another, like that. In that case, just using the bleed brush, you can adjust the gap with the color which is nearby, like this, or you can try using the dark colors to make it like a little bit border, like this. Okay, also here, also you can add a little bit of color variation by adding small strokes like this at the corners of the petal. Now I'm going to copy and place it here. Click on the transform tool, go to the transform, move it like this, flip it horizontally because we have already flipped it while sketching, and place it here. Now you can change the shape a little bit using the transform option, distort option, but here I'm okay with this. So, and at the last layer I'm going to draw the stem and leaf together. So again, same process, just use the lasso tool to select the stem shape, also the little bit of branch that we have added. Okay, now go to the watercolor brush and add the color. Then going for the lighter color, like this. Going for very bright, something like greenish yellow color, and using the bleed brush to make a small lines all over the stem to make it like a texture for the stem. Don't go for thick stroke, instead go for very mild stroke. Don't give pressure to the stylus. Okay, now we have done this. Now remove the selection, clear the selection, then we can select the leaves now. Okay, we have selected the leaves. Go to the watercolor brush here it is. So make a big drag all over the leaves, and then to add little bit of watercolor texture, reduce the size of the brush and tap it a little bit at the ends of the leaves. You can find how the tapping and making the brush size smaller really gives a beautiful difference in the leaves. Also making the inside of that leaf darker using the dark color. Now I just using the leaf brush, reducing the opacity of the brush little bit and adding small veins like this inside the leaf. Also, if you want to add little bit shades on that, just reduce the opacity of the leaf brush further and you can add small details like this, which is not that much visible in the video, but that gives some variation in the leaf. So you can try it if you want. Now we have done the leaf, clear the selection, and we don't need that reference anymore, so close this reference. And we have the two flowers which is of same color. Now I'm going to change the color and add a little bit of darkness to the flowers. So going one by one, so go to the hue, saturation and brightness tool, click on that, be on the layer where you have the flower, and by adjusting the brightness, saturation and hue, you can also change the way the flower looks. You can change the color of the flower using the hue, and you can increase the brightness, white color using the brightness, and by adjusting the saturation, you can make how it looks. So now going to the second flower, doing the same process. You can also try color and color balance tool if you want. Both gives a beautiful result. So now we got two flowers with different color, and you can see a transparency is visible on the flower. If I save this as PNG now, it will be transparent, and whatever color background that I use next, it will be appearing on that leaf. So to avoid that, create a layer below all the layer, and now using the magic wand tool, which is available in the same tool inside the lasso tool, click on the empty areas, and also here it's empty. Now I have selected all the empty areas, keeping the extended edge 0 and references all the layers. And now if I draw anything on this selected area, it looks like this. So except the flower, we have selected everything. So go to the magic wand tool again, select the invert option so that the leaves and flowers get selected. Now we have selected only the leaves and flowers, and using the white color leaf brush, I'm going to fill the entire shape with white color so that the transparency is removed by adding the white color. Now if you see, you cannot see any transparent details in the flower, so you can save this as PNG, make it as a clipboard and use it wherever you want. So that's the purpose of adding this white color at the background. Now you can save this as PNG, and if you want background, switch on the background color and save that as a JPG. And here is the PNG flower. You can see the flower is not transparent, it looks opaque and beautiful watercolor texture. And here is the flower with the background. I hope you like this tutorial, learn new from me. If so, subscribe to my channel. Also, come on Instagram and DM me for any doubts. Also, if you want to join me in my online session. So thank you for watching. Bye.